So I figured I'd take a minute to explain how to get into this kind of business. I know I've told a lot of people, or I've mentioned in several videos that I'll make a video explaining how to get in the construction business and run all the equipment and everything. And I get like probably 2 or 3 comments a week asking me how to get into it, and there's really no good answer on how to do that. I guess I could say I was kind of born into it. I was never told that I had to do this kind of work or forced to. It was pretty much my decision to get into it, and it's something I've always enjoyed doing. I guess I'll start on how I got into it. My grandfather started the business. He actually had 3 cranes. He's done so much stuff in his life, but I guess how he really got into it is he bought 3 cranes and he was cleaning up junkyards back when they had the Clean Land Act or whatever the hell it was. And then he got tied up in with D.H. Griffin. I know they're a great big demolition company now, but he started when they first started out tearing down buildings in downtown. When they decided to redo downtown, he had like 2 mobile cranes and a tracked American crawler crane, and he tear down buildings. I think the tallest building he could take her down was like 12 or 14 stories tall. But he had all that. I know when they built the airport, he busted rock for 2 solid years out there doing that. And just as he got older and older, I mean, he didn't do that till, shoot, he would think he was in his 60s when he started that, or late 50s. But I think he was 65 when he bought his first excavator. But like I said, as he got older, those cranes, there's all the friction cranes and everything, it just wore him out. So he bought his first excavator. And I remember all this because I used to always go to work with him on Saturdays and stuff like that. So that's how I pretty much got in the door of it. He'd come pick me up on Saturdays and I'd go to work with him, and at like 6 or 7 I'd ride in the back of the excavator and everything. And I just learned from there. I'd help out with any little labor thing that they needed done on any project. And I mean, a lot of days I just sat there. I mean, it kind of got boring after a while just sitting there, but I'd go with him every weekend and stuff that he worked and just learned as much as I could. And as the years progressed, he'd let me run the machines a little bit and everything. And probably 10, 11, I'd get up in the machine, I could dig and everything like that. Then my uncle, he retired from the company, or he wanted to get out of the company line of work that he was doing as a machinist, and he got into the business. He wanted to go into work with my grandpa. So he bought his own machine too, and they kind of teamed up on projects. And of course, I'd already been helping my grandpa before my uncle even took over. But shortly later, my grandpa retired, and my uncle took over, and I continued working for my uncle through there, helping projects. And I really started off as the ditch bitch. It's like any little thing that need to be done, labor intensive, that's what you do. And I really think that's the best way to learn, because you get to see all the stuff that really needs to be done, as in when you're running a machine, why you need to do a task the certain way. You already know, pretty much being in the ditch, all your steps that you need to do on working on stuff and why it needs to be done. Just not, I need to dig right here to this level. It gives you a whole lot more background knowledge of stuff that you wouldn't comprehend sitting in the cab. So it's definitely the best way. I know a lot of people, they don't want to do the labor work, but that is really the best way to learn the most about this project, or type of work, I should say. But as the years progressed, like I said, I continued working for my uncle, and I think around, I was probably about 14 years old, 12 or 13, I'd help him throughout the summer breaks. That was my summer breaks, was running the equipment and all that stuff like that, so I thoroughly enjoyed that. And I remember when I was 14, work got a little bit slow, and I helped my grandpa's friend. He had a great big farm, and he had a Cabelco 220 excavator. I dug a pond with it. He hired me full time. We were working like 50 or 60 hours a week. He had a Cabelco, And out of everybody there, he chose me to run it. And that was the first time bulldozer I ran. He had an old D6C, the old snatch and pull and everything. And I mean, that was quite daunting running that. And he had a 955 cat track loader. God, that thing was a relic. He still got it. And shit, I wasn't hardly big enough to reach the pedals in that thing. But he told me to go move this dirt, and he left. He's like, don't drive it into the pond. I was like, okay, then. But, that was a great learning experience, just given the opportunity. I know today that's hard to do that because of so much safety crap and all that stuff that, all these job sites have. But being in the family business like that, it kind of gave me probably a 10-year head start than I guess a lot of people really can get. Because you probably need to be about 18 or so before you can become a laborer and stuff for a big company. But, like I always mention, this is something I was never forced to do. Actually, my parents told me not to do it. They told me I was going to get tired of doing this crap, digging holes all day long and sweating my ass off and stuff. But it's really the only thing I really wanted to do. I actually went to college for them. I was going to go for an engineering degree, and I took like a year and a half of those courses and decided this was not for me. I was just miserable doing it. So I kind of stepped down to a construction management, associate's degree in construction management. So I ended up graduating with a 2-year degree in that. Never use it, but I got it. And to this day, I've always done this kind of work still throughout, and I still continue working for my uncle. I'm I guess I run the operations. I pretty much do everything from start to finish on probably 90% of the projects. And I mean, to this day, I've never heard anything. My parents have never said anything. I think they realize that, if you set your mind at it, you can do some pretty amazing stuff. And I'll be 29 in September. I don't want to brag, but I think I've done pretty well for myself. Bought the farm, all this ragged shit over here that breaks down all the time, but all this shit's paid for from working and everything, so it's not like it's a burden on. I've got to make payments on this shit. These were just purely play toys I bought for working on the farm and stuff like that. But hopefully they'll make me some money one day, or I'll sell them. But back into getting into the business. Like I say, it's all I've really ever known to do, and I thoroughly enjoy it. Even today, I guess you say I've been with the company. I guess my first time I was actually getting paid through payroll was 14. So 14 years later, here I am still doing it. I mean, there's days where you'll run the machine all day long, and then the next day or an hour later, you'll be out there putting down seed and straw by hand, stapling down matting. It's just a small company. You have to do stuff like that. You don't have a dedicated employee for every task. We got a lot of equipment, but I mean, it's like the grader and stuff. We might not use it for a month, so I mean, you can't have an employee that runs grader and fine grade and all that stuff. Because I mean, I guess that's what I do. I have to run everything. You just can't justify it because you might not use that machine for a month or so, but you got it when you need it. So I guess the best thing that I could suggest for people to get into this business is, they have the heavy equipment schools. I don't know if that's a good thing or not. I know they're super expensive, and all you really get to do is you learn the basics of a machine. And I've never been to one, so I don't know, but this is just through what I've heard is, you learn the understanding of the equipment. And they give you like 200 hours of operating time that you have to complete. Well, 200 hours is a lot, but it's really not. If you think about it, you work a 40-hour, let's say a 50-hour week, that's a month of experience. And if you look back on it and say, I have 14 years of experience, that's a whole lot more hours. There's no telling how many thousands and thousands of hours just in excavators I've got experience in. So schools, I'm not saying they're not worth it, but I probably wouldn't spend the thousands of dollars that they cost to do that, because I think you stand a better chance of going on for a big company. You know, you're going to start off as a laborer. There's always jobs for that. It's shitty work. It sucks. It's hot and humid as hell down here. But it gives you, like I said, that experience of learning from the ground up of what needs to be done, why he needs to cut this dirt here, why he needs to fill here. It gives you all the understanding of reading the grade stakes. If you're a grade checker, you can see a cut of 3 foot, and you can kind of watch him and just kind of understand how much he needs to cut down before you really get in there and make it all nice and pretty and everything. So definitely the start from the bottom and work up, I think, is the best way, because like I say, you know, I've read a lot. All these companies want a 20-year-old with 10 years experience. You know, that's not going to happen either. And they're going to get that when they start hiring people. So I guess that's the best advice I can get, is get your foot in the door. And once you do, you know, make buddies with the operators and stuff. I mean, there's some really cool people out there and super friendly. And, you know, if I come across people, I have no problem helping them out and letting them watch and see how the machines and everything work. But like on a big company or something like that, and, you know, make friends with the excavator operator, and on your lunch break, see if he'll let you just start playing around and stuff. You know, if there's a big stockpile of dirt, just go over there and just learn how to run the machine. Like I say, it's not their machine. You know, there's going to be some people that are going to tell you to go screw off, because, you know, some people do take it personally. That's their pride and joy, and they don't want anybody else in their machine. And I fully understand that. I like, you know, I take pride in the equipment we have, and I try to take very good care of it, because I have to sit in that thing all week long, every day, and I prefer it not to be a ragged out piece of shit. You know, the bucket flopping all over the place, half the windows knocked out. They just look like you don't give a damn about your work. And I think that's another good thing, is for your equipment to look nice. You know, we don't have brand new equipment by no means. You know, the 210, it's a 04 with 5,500 hours on it. But it looks a lot better than some equipment I've seen with 2 or 3 that are 2 or 3 years old with 1,000 hours on it, just beat all to immortal shit. It's really not that hard to take care of it. I mean, what's an extra look like this before you swing so you don't smash into a tree? You know, we do a lot of clearing, and usually clearing equipment always looks like logging equipment. And that's not saying loggers are rough, but you are rough. You just drive over every fucking thing. So taking care of the equipment, I think that's a #1 priority for me. Like I say, I depend on that. If that's not running, I'm not working, so, you know, money's not being made on either end there. So take good care of everything. Just a little extra 2 minutes a day to sweep out the damn floor mat. I hate getting into a piece of equipment that's got cups and shit and all over it, and 2 inches of dirt on the floor mat, and it's just filthy. I mean, it's really not that hard. If it's dusty, shut the damn door. I mean, it's got air conditioning, and it, you know, the air conditioning quits working because people suck all that crap up in the AC condenser and everything, and it stops everything up, so that's why it quits working. So take a little care of it. You know, shit's getting expensive, all that equipment. You know, you got a $200,000 machine somebody pays for you. You should probably take a little bit of care of it, you know, instead of trashing it. You know, it will make you look better, and it'll probably get you farther up in a company, just taking care of everything. You know, grease everything, just kind of walk over it. You know, you don't have to be the little highlight boy that shines over everybody else, but, you know, just take an extra couple minutes, just kind of look over everything, and it'll go a long ways in the long run. So hope that helps, and if you got any more questions, just comment below, and I'll be glad to answer. And if there are that many questions, I'll make another video. So thanks for watching.